All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumane. Before, I'm nervous to even say it. Mamelodi Sundowns versus Orlando Pirates, or Orlando Pirates versus Mamelodi Sundowns, because the order is important. We are playing at Orlando Stadium, and I guess maybe that's the optimism of everything, is that we're playing at Orlando Stadium because there's very little to be optimistic about going into this game. And that's what I want to talk about. So this preview is mostly going to be kind of what I've been thinking about all week with regards to this game. What optimism can we take? I want to say that I am optimistic, but is my optimism founded in the fact that I think this head coach is going to tactically produce a masterclass against Mamelodi Sundowns? No, that's not what my optimism is founded on. Is my optimism founded in the fact that I think these players are gonna produce like a performance that's gonna overturn Sundowns out of their own volition? Maybe, but not really. I think what my optimism is founded on is the fact that we are playing at Orlando Stadium. I think the fact that we are playing at home and in front of our fans is specifically why I'm optimistic about tomorrow's game, and that's the only reason. And I want to get into that. I think something I've been thinking about throughout this week is the fact that, much has been spoken in the past with this particular fixture. Cup game at Orlando Stadium, where it's Wafa Wafa, as MTN 8 will have it in their slogan or tagline. And it's like winner takes it all. So in this case, it's like the winner in like both fixtures combined will then qualify for the final. The thing about those fixtures is that that they require a different kind of motivation. They almost exist as an island in isolation. I was looking for a phrase to describe that, but I'm trying to say is that it's almost as though they don't exist with the other fixtures. It's almost as though they're a fixture. They are a very unique fixture. That's what I'm trying to say. Let me keep it simple. They're a very unique fixture in that they are that one odd game in which, regardless of how your season is going, they can produce a miracle, a shock, a surprise, that kind of thing, right? That's because the magnitude of occasion in itself and the stakes are so high. So the motivation of the players and I guess even the technical team and everyone it's so high, and the pressure of the occasion. Usually these kind of fixtures, they produce games that are off script. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, that is something for Orlando Pirates to draw encouragement from. However, I think the most telling thing is, yes, the occasion is huge and that sort of thing and blah, blah, blah. That's going to be the narrative. I think every channel you're going to tune into, every content that's going to be made about this fixture is probably going to say this. This is a huge fixture. The players are so motivated, and therefore Orlando Pirates can come up with can produce some kind of turnaround in terms of result and produce a result in the least expected of games, which is this game particularly. I feel like that's the narrative that you're going to hear from almost everyone, including myself. But I want to kind of take it another layer and say something that I think this fixture actually rests on for Orlando Pirates. Now, a lot has been kind of spoken about throughout this week, maybe even last week, with 2 defeats from this head coach. Some of that talk started already when Orlando Pirates appointed this head coach, Abdul Samadu, and they announced him. Skepticism already was there. I think it did subside by my mere observation throughout the preseason and that sort of thing. First game, definitely, when we qualified for the semi-final by winning 2-0 against Polokwane City. And then all of a sudden, turn of events, we lose against Kukune, and then we lose against Marumo Gallants. And it's almost as though something that was bubbling under, that you knew was always there. When Orlando Pirates appoint a head coach that no one really is backing or predicted, there is going to be skepticism, right? But now, after 2 defeats and Pirates sitting at the bottom of the Betway Premiership after 2 games, and specifically Kaizer Chiefs at the top of the Betway Premiership, it sent everyone nuts. And rightly so, Orlando Pirates shouldn't be sitting at the bottom of the table even after 2 games, especially in a season that they themselves call this is the end of a project that now we want to challenge for the league and we actually want to win it this year. We mean serious business this year, right? And so, because there's all of that happening, I feel like a lot of Pirates fans are they've lost motivation for this game. And I think, yes, the stadium is sold out, but there's something that I actually want to kind of put to you and hear what you guys think about this specific thing. And I know I'm saying a lot of things, but I'm trying to get to this specific point, is that I think that when Orlando Pirates go to Orlando Stadium tomorrow and they're playing Mamelodi Sundowns, the game is going to be dependent upon the fans. That's what I think. So that's the heading. I think the game tomorrow is going to be dependent on the fans. I think the fans of Orlando Pirates can win Orlando Pirates that game. Now, obviously, am I saying the fans are going to be on the pitch? They're going to be the ones playing? Of course not. Don't be silly, right? The players are going to be playing. But something that's you can't take away with a club such as Pirates is that, the fans and their mood plays a big role in the outcome of a match. And that is true. And I think specifically the fact that the fans of Orlando Pirates are quite fickle and quite shallow is going to play a big role tomorrow. Here's what I would call, if I were someone who could speak to, 30 or so thousand fans who are going to be at Orlando. If I could get a chance to speak to them, I would say this. I would say, when the game starts, you could breathe the second air. Is that how you say it? Or you could give the players that second wind. You could breathe that wind to the players and give them that motivation to win that game against all odds, against the fact that they themselves might be demotivated with the head coach. Maybe that's the rumor going around. But in this magnitude of occasion, you, the fans, could be the ones that make the players win the occasion itself. This one occasion when the motivation can be high or low, if the players of Orlando Pirates come out on the pitch and the mood that they find set by the fans could win the occasion. But equally, it could lose the occasion dismally as well, seeing that already there's a demotivation going around in the club, especially amongst the fans. If the players come out and Mamelodi Sundowns scores the first goal, it's going to be so toxic. Because the other thing about the fans of Orlando Pirates is that we're not shy about letting the players know what we're thinking. Now, I don't advocate for that. I think we should always give them positivity and try to turn games around as fans. But if you will have been, for those that were, if you were at the game against Sekhukhune, I think there were portions, by my observation or my ear, where I could hear that going 1-0 down already breathed that air of uncertainty that is around the head coach. And the thing is, when that sort of thing happens, people start to voice what they really think about the coach. And that's the fickle and the shallow that I'm talking about with us fans, is that we're supporting the team in as long as the things are going well. And that, I think, is going to play a huge role tomorrow. In as far as things are going well, in as far as the score is 0-0, there will be, I think, some kind of mutedness. And that's what I would call the fans to not go for. I'd say the fans, when the team comes out, can we give them that wind from the start of the game? Can we give them that energy, that fire behind their behind, at the start of the game? And hoping that they will feed off of that. Mamelodi Sundowns will be pressured by that, and maybe we can go up front. And if we do go up front, I trust that we can definitely win that game. We can go on and score 2 and 3. I really believe that. I know I sound nuts to some people right now. You guys might be thinking that I'm absolutely crazy right now for even thinking that. But since the reopening of that stadium, I don't know how many games I've gone to. I'm speaking from that place of knowing the power that we hold in that stadium when we are in support of the team and what can happen at that stadium. And I think it rests there because tactically, I'm not backing the idea that this head coach is going to somehow produce magic. I really don't think so. I think we've heard about 90 pages of game models and all of those things. And I'm sure he knows his stuff. This is a guy who's well-traveled, played in France, played in England, all of that sort of thing. And I'm sure he's got a 90-page model and he's on page 45 or whatever the case may be. I've seen some funny stuff on Twitter. However, I think game models or no game models, I don't know if I back this head coach that tomorrow against Sundowns, he's going to produce a tactical masterclass and outwit Mamelodi Sundowns. I don't buy that thought. I think he's a bit out of his depths, the way that I've seen, with the decision making, not only how he's employing certain tactics, but just the decisions that he's making with regards personnel, in terms of specifically the Marumo Gallants game, who he decided to play and who he decided to bench. And something I've complained about is the kind of substitutions that he makes when we are under the cosh. Just for me, it's really concerning. And I feel like he's a bit out of his depth. And so I don't back that against Mamelodi Sundowns tomorrow, he's going to do something to outwit our opponents. And so I think it rests on the fans because I really think that the players themselves are demotivated. I think the motivation of the occasion itself, it's not going to be enough without the backing of the supporters. If the Pirates fans are playing that occasion and yet the fans are toxic, Pirates is going to lose that game. But I think if the Pirates fans are positive, backing the players, backing our soldiers who are wearing our shirt and trying to get a result for us, at least for one day we can celebrate. We can celebrate the players. For those of you who don't want me to tell you to celebrate the coach, I'm going to respect that. We can celebrate the players by the kind of performance that they produce. But that's going to be transferred from us, the fans, I think. That's what I think. I really think that I'm really convinced of that. I think what it rests on tomorrow, it rests on the supporters supporting the team, backing them and pushing them and getting the result on our behalf, as the fans doing that in the stadium. The game is sold out, I'm glad that the tickets were sold before we lost 2 games. Well, I guess we had lost, I think they were sold before we lost the 2 games. And I'm glad for that because you guys already have your tickets and you're already going. I'm saying those of us who are going, we need to get the result for ourselves, and so that we can get to the final. But my fear is that, these kind of things can also kind of create a false sense of security where the head coach, if say like a scenario, I know I'm being very simplistic about these things, a scenario in which the fans win the game for the club, we get to the final and then somehow maybe we come against the Sukukune and then we win that MTN 8. It's going to give a false sense of security maybe and I can see that argument already, and buy some time for a head coach who has now fluked his way to an MTN 8 trophy, and then now we're stuck with a guy who's really in the long haul taking us nowhere near the silverware, the ultimate silverware, which is the Betway Premiership. I can see that, but I think obviously that would require for the club to be sober. But I think for us, for our joy, I really want us to win this game, but I think it's on us. And I've seen some fans who are already thinking that They're giving up and they are already conceding this game. They're conceding this trophy and saying, we don't want it. We want the head coach to go. That's what we want. Let him go. And to those fans, I mean, I really understand, because it's specifically what I'm talking about, is that you don't want a false sense of security where a head coach flukes a trophy in a four games tournament, and then it gives the impression that he's good for the club, where in the course of 30 games, he's going to lose 5 or more, actually, because we've already lost 2, and best believe we're going to lose some more games. I think so. I'm convinced of that. Because I've watched the team and I feel like we're out of depths. We seem like we don't have solutions. We seem like we don't know how to, the very thing that was the challenge for Pirates, which was, okay, now you're going to be a dominating team with the ball. How are you going to break teams down? We don't know how to. And then on top of that, we don't know how to defend against these teams. And so what do we have? If we can't score and we can't defend, what we're going to have is defeats. That's what I think. And sort of speaking like, I guess, some kind of football, is that obviously the way that Sundowns play their football is it plays into our hands. It plays into our hands in this way, is that we obviously seem like a team that needs space behind the defense. We need space between the lines. Sundowns is going to come out and they're going to try and press us. We obviously like to build up with a lot of players. And as far as we can bypass the first lines of pressure, then it's going to free up some running for Mofokeng. It's going to free up Ozonapolis to make runs. It's going to free up for people like Patrick Maswanganyi and those kind of guys, and Boitumelo Radiopane, if he plays, some space for them behind to operate and to hurt the opposition. And as far as the game is set up like that, it's very much possible for Pirates to get a result. And when I think about the way that we defend and how we've been struggling and the kind of goals that we've been conceding, is that obviously we don't know, we haven't come up against a team that is going to, as much as us, or even maybe even more than us, want to possess possession and break us down. So maybe we are quite organized in the way that we defend when a team is moving the ball around on the ground. But if they decide to stick it in the air, we're going to have some problems. The other optimism I guess we can draw from this is that Mamelodi Sundowns is without Lucas Ribeiro, who I don't want to exaggerate it. I think I can't exaggerate it enough. I think he was like almost running the show one man every time that Sundowns have played against Pirates. And I think he's busy sorting out a move away from that club, from that prison. And so we can be grateful about that. He's not going to be there. And his individual brilliance too often has costed us like big results against Mamelodi Sundowns. He's not going to be there, and I think that's some optimism that we can draw from that fixture. I don't think Sales has anything to bring to this game. Tashreeq Matthews, Ikram Reyners is going to need service. He's going to need service. Yeah, he's just going to need service. He's going to need for the Pirates defenders to be focusing on someone else, freeing him up. But if Ikram Reyners is the guy that the Pirates defenders must be focused on, I don't think he's going to hurt Orlando Pirates. Hence, they need that bit of magic of Lucas Ribeiro, who's going to take away 4 people, the attention of the Pirates defense, to free up all the other guys. But in as far as they don't have Ribeiro, I think there's a confidence within me, even with that Pirates can get a result for that reason. But yeah, anyway, I know I've kind of just been all over the place with my thoughts, but these are like my thoughts just around tomorrow's game. And I'm eager to hear what you guys think in terms of how do you think this one goes? And maybe, how do you think he's going to line up? Who should he bring back? That's the part that I haven't spoken about, because I really think it's pointless. I think he's going to do his own thing. Again, the head coach. Now that there's some kind of dissatisfaction, we might see people like Dino van Rooyen back, Talent Mbata we might see back. And it's like, these are the guys who haven't played. Why are they brought back against Mamelodi Sundowns? Why are you still experimenting? And it's going to send me to even more rage if I see Dino van Rooyen at right back. Why didn't I see him at the start of the season? But anyway, let me leave it here. Up the Mighty Bucks. See you after the game. Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video from Talking Buccaneers. If you did, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all our future content.